commissioners here this afternoon, and we would like to begin our meeting by having each member introduce him or herself. And I would like to start from my right and the audience left and asking the members to introduce themselves. And we have with us this evening 2 new members, and each one of these new members is an attorney, and we would like for them just to give us a little biographical sketch about themselves as they make their introduction. So beginning from my right and your left, we will have our fellow commissioners to introduce themselves.
I'm Doug McCants.
Carol King.
Walter Bush.
James Long.
And sir, would you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I am a 1979 graduate of the University of Alabama Law School. Worked with the state as Deputy Attorney General, and Assistant Attorney General for 28 years with the Alabama Department of Human Resources. Retired in about 2012, and now I have a private practice on the side on South McDonald Street.
Thank you.
I'm Brian Mann. I live in the Old Cloverdale Historic District, where I serve as Vice President, Vice Mayor of the Old Cloverdale Association. I've been an attorney in private practice since 1998. I recently relocated my office to Old Cloverdale. I'm a graduate of Huntington College and the University of Alabama School of Law. It's an honor to be here.
And to each one of you, let's say that it is an honor to have the 2 of you aboard, and hope you enjoy your stay with the Montgomery Historic Preservation Commission. Is there anything, we'd like to do this, is there anything any of our current commissioners would like to say in response to having 2 new commissioners here this afternoon?
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. All right.
Never had 9 members.
Yes. As we continue with our meeting here this afternoon, to our commissioners, you have in your packet the minutes of our last meeting. The chair will now entertain a motion for the adoption of those minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we adopt the minutes of the last meeting. Is there any unreadiness? There being none, all those in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. Opposers, the same opportunity. Motion carried. Thank you very much. As we look at our agenda for this afternoon, we do not have a restoration of the month. Chris, is there anything you would like to say about that before we move from that point? Okay, all right. And then on our agenda, our second item, we have from the Capitol Heights community, and you have these in your packet. Ms. Christy Anderson will talk about several residences on Madison Avenue, 1810, 1814, 16, 1820, 1824, 1834, 36, and 1844, 46.
This petition was brought forward by Paul Hard and Jonathan Guyette, neither of whom could be with us this evening. They came when this was up in April and we didn't have a quorum. This block of Madison Avenue was omitted from the Capitol Heights District on Madison Avenue in 1993. One of the owners had threatened to sue the city over the designation and rallied his neighbors, and I think it was decided it was easier to carve it out than to deal with it. So we would not normally look at a designation in a piecemeal fashion, but in this particular case, it's really to capture properties that should have been included in that initial district. And Mr. Mann asked about a couple of white spaces on Madison Avenue. The one property at the end of this highlighted block was individually designated several years ago. And the two properties on South Capitol Parkway are part of the South Capitol Parkway Historic District. So they are designated, they are just part of a different district. So it's not highlighted on here. So we have 100% owner consent. One of the requirements we have is to notify the owners by mail that this public hearing will take place. So everybody who owns one of these properties received a letter to notify them of this hearing, in addition to the usual legal advertisement. Next slide, please. Next page. So we have a collection of circa 1920s, 1930s houses in this block that are similar in style and detail to the other houses along Madison Avenue. This is a one-story brick veneer house with 6/6 wood windows and a 3-light transom over the door, a front gable attached porch. Next page, please. I gotta look at my picture because this one's fuzzy. This is actually the poster child that was used to convince the other neighbors to sign the petition, and I should have included the photo that they used, but I didn't. When Mr. Hard and Mr. Guyette purchased this property, the front porch had been enclosed. It had vinyl windows in the front, and there was a chain link fence around the front yard. And it was, there was some unsavory activity that took place. So when they purchased it, they reopened that porch. It has had, the front windows and the front doors have been replaced, I suspect, because the original ones were gone. So those are not original details. It still has some vinyl over the gable vent and around the front porch. And I think that was it. Yeah, because it's got the half timbering and all the gables. So it has some alterations, but it is in a far better, has a far better appearance than it did 2 years ago. Next, please. This is we don't have a lot in Montgomery, but we have some clipped gable, which just means that front corner's been bent down. And gable house. This one does have vinyl siding, and my note says that the fenestration looks unbalanced. And I spoke with the owner, and he said, you know, I knew it looked off, and when he went and looked, he could see where the sheetrock bowed over. The windows are probably still in that wall on the right-hand side. They've just been covered over with siding. But that's what kind of throws it off visually from the front. It has a nice porch rail that's at the right height for the plinths, and generally retains some of the more important details of the door and the windows. Next, please. This is another side gable roof with gable, or a clipped gable. 6/6 wood windows. It has a replaced front door. It retains its wood siding, and it's very similar to its neighbor. Next. This one's a little earlier. It's got a little more craftsman detail to it. It's got porches on both sides. Nice wood posts with cross members. All the windows are wood. The front door entrance, it appears that they took pieces of that front entrance and to separate it, one door is recessed and one is pulled out. So that front entry has been altered, but they used the original space for the front door. Next.
Christy, we actually have a historic photo of that structure.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Very early.
And then this is the last house at the other end of the block. It's got a nice bay window on both the east and west elevations, tapered porch columns, which are fairly typical in Capitol Heights. a nice half-round gable vent, front door with the intact transom and side lights. It's had some additions to the rear. It's 2 units now, where it was probably constructed as a single-family house. But it also retains a lot of its original features, the wood siding, the doors and windows, the porches, and the bay window. So the staff recommendation is that these properties are architecturally compatible and consistent with the other properties in that district, and that it meets the criteria as part of the architectural heritage of the city, region, or nation. I wouldn't say there are any examples, or any exemplary examples of a particular architectural style, but they certainly are emblematic of a lot of that early 20th century housing stock in Capitol Heights. So I would recommend that the HPC send this to City Council with their recommendation to designate these properties.
Okay, any questions to Christie?
Christie, does this include the park?
What?
Includes the corner park?
Corner Park.
Is
Across the
park on
street?
that? Yeah.
The city exempted parks from Cloverdale and Capitol Heights when the districts were designated. It does not. This is just the south side of the street.
Oh, that would have been the north action.
That would have been the north side. Yeah.
Question? Any
Nothing
questions,
actually,
comment?
nothing, excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead.
There's nothing actually significant historically with reference to the park. Anyway, is there?
The park on Madison was the site of a house that burned, isn't it? Louis Armstrong Park?
The
Yeah.
Pinker House.
Yeah. So the house is gone. It's full of a gazebo and playground equipment and such. But it was carved out of the district as well.
So it's not always a park. Okay, I get it.
Well, so what would, this would be, just be an annex to Madison Avenue? Is that the terminology?
Probably. I'm hoping what we can do is amend that original petition and add these properties and maybe pull the 1802 in with it so it's
Yeah,
a
with the
little
whole thing.
tidier.
Yeah.
I have to check on how we actually need to handle that in terms of drafting the ordinance to get it done.
So what we're doing here is just the designation of a portion of Capitol Heights? Or just includes the,
This includes a block that was omitted from the district on Madison Avenue.
okay, this is the mission. Mm-hmm. That was brought into it. Okay.
Right. It was carved out.
Okay, I get it. Because of the recalcitrance of the neighbor.
That is my understanding. But at this point, 100% of the property owners want to be part of the district.
Okay.
So we have their consent forms on file.
Any other question, comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just forgive me, I'm trying to catch
Sure.
up with you.
Take
On
your
the
time,
comments
sir.
page that I have here, you list, said that the commission shall not recommend designation unless, and you list these 4 things. And I couldn't tell when I was reading it whether or
Would
not,
you speak into your mic?
I
Yeah.
couldn't tell when I was reading this list whether this is a property has to meet all 4, or whether it's just one of them that the property has to meet. And that was what I'm.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it is one. It's not written as clearly as it could be to indicate that, but what this mirrors is the criteria that the National Park Service uses to determine if a property is eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. So
And if I understand what you're saying, it's number 3?
it's primarily number 3 because it is part of an architectural streetscape, most of which is already designated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comment or question? Okay, the chair will now entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead, I yield to you.
I move we accept this
Second.
nomination.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second.
You need to accept and recommend for, to send to
Inclusion.
council,
Oh,
Yes,
if
to
you
be sent
would.
to them.
yes. Any unreadiness? All those in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. Opposed, the same sign. Thank you very much. Motion carried. Thank you very much, Christy. Danton Moses Garden District, 1204 South McDonald Street. Did they call you, Christy? No one?
I have not spoken to him. When we had to reschedule these, I did send reminders out, although yours came back. So we'll just schedule it for the next meeting.
Sure, okay, good enough. Paul and Cindy Keeping, 1928 Winona Avenue. Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome to the Historic Preservation Commission
Thank you.
meeting. A pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, let me just say to you, if you could give us an overview, is there anything you've learned about this property since you made application?
I requested it to be called the Rabe House. I had met and was an acquaintance of the lady that owned the house since 1960.
Oh.
And that's the reason we wanted to put the last name on the plaque.
Okay,
And it's the first house that I've bought in a while in Capitol Heights that actually qualifies for this plaque, and I'm really excited about it.
okay, good enough. Anything else you'd like to tell us before we open the floor for questions and comments?
You know, the only thing I can tell you as a renovator, this house was impeccable. It had been well taken care of. The original bathroom floor is in there, and it's not cracked up, it's not sagging, it's in great. I have all the original tile. The toothbrush holder and the glass holder is intact. Everything is good.
Immaculate.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
sweet.
Yes. Questions, comments from the floor, from the commissioners?
This is a question for Christy. I thought signs were really only eligible to go for designated areas.
Nope. There's nothing that says in the
Okay.
sign guidelines that that is necessary. If
Is
it
it
is not, it is not in a, if it is not in a designated area, it has to qualify for a
Right.
historic building sign. So, because it doesn't have a
have
default
a district.
district to fall back into.
Oh, okay. That's why you're putting the name, family name on it as opposed to a district name.
That was her request because the family had owned the property for so long. It could have been Capitol Heights because it'd be the neighborhood name, but
Right.
she requested
Yeah.
a long-term owner name.
This property is outside of the regular Capitol Heights neighborhood?
By a block. It's a block outside the district.
But it's still considered Capitol Heights?
Yeah, we have 1,200 properties in our neighborhood and only 300 are designated.
Okay. Just,
We're working on it.
We just had a meeting about that yesterday.
well, that's great. Okay, without objection, I recommend this property for historic building sign.
Historic building sign, okay. Well, first of all, are there any other comments?
That's
Yes.
the question I wanted to ask, Mr.
Oh, I'm
Chairman.
sorry.
Yes,
A little explanation about this historic sign
yes.
provision and what is the requirement for it. Because it
Okay,
has to meet designation. Has to qualify for a historic building sign, so I just want a little explanation.
yes, yes. As you see, our explanation, this house is not located within the boundaries of the historic district.
Well, the way the sign guidelines read, a property needs to be at least 50 years old, unless it has some sort of exceptional significance. We're finally moving far enough into the future where that would come up more with civil rights related sites, but we're getting into that where those are 50 years now as well. It needs to retain historic integrity, which means it needs to look like the house it was built as. That to qualify for a building sign, it should retain historic materials and appearance. It can be a property that's, if it's not, it can be in a local district, it can be a National Register listed property. Those don't always overlap in Montgomery. The historic district sign is usually granted to those properties that are located within districts, are 50 years old, but have had some alterations that may not be as sympathetic as they could have been. Porch enclosures, window replacements, closing openings that, you know, historic openings or making window openings smaller, putting in very modern looking front doors, or shoot, even having front doors that date from the 60s and 70s. You know, something that just architecturally doesn't quite match up with what the style of the house is. So it's up to the HPC to kind of split the hairs and decide for some of these if some of those alterations are enough to warrant the historic district sign, or if what architectural detail there is, you know, like that house we saw on Madison Avenue that had a lot of craftsman detail, that is probably one of its biggest character features, and applying aluminum siding over the sided part would not have taken away from that. So those are the kinds of issues you'd be discussing amongst yourselves. Does that answer your question of kind of what, how to look at it? And
This house is original brick. It's got everything that it was built with,
Certainly
especially
looks like
exterior.
other properties. But you said there really hasn't been any changes to this house. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, Chairman, I suggest that the two new commissioners get the guidelines for sign designation.
Do y'all have those guidelines?
I have some material, but
Yes.
I haven't seen it. You sure you have that? I don't think so. It's not in this packet, so
No,
unless you have a separate.
no, I don't have anything.
Well, whatever it is that you need, we'll make sure you have it before you leave here tonight.
All right, thank
We'll
you.
ensure that you get it, in case you don't already have it.
Christie, does the HPC have jurisdiction over those guidelines?
I'm sure the HPCs who drafted them.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Well, because my understanding was that the sign program was a way to raise awareness,
Right.
and they wanted to
Promote.
cast the net as broadly as they could.
right.
Because we've had signs, we've had folks in McGee Estates come and request signs. I'm trying to think of where else, Capitol Heights, because a lot of the neighborhood is not designated.
Right.
So we certainly have, we don't have a lot, but we do have some that are outside. I'll have to find those. I've got them somewhere.
Okay? All right? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Reintroduce my motion for
Sure.
designation for historic building sign.
All right. And was it second?
Second.
All right, moving properly second. Any unreadiness? All those in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, please come back, and we appreciate you coming this afternoon. Okay? As we continue with our agenda items this afternoon, the chair will now entertain a motion for, we'll have our election for chair and vice chair, and we will open the floor for a nomination for vice chair. Is there any nomination
I'd like to nominate Dr. Bailey
for vice chair?
for chair.
Oh, we, vice chair right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. That's all right. For vice chair, any nomination for vice chair?
I nominate Ms. King.
Ms. King for vice chair, Carol King.
Carol
for
King, I'm
vice
sorry.
chair. Yes, that's all right.
You
That's all right.
complete name.
Yes.
Sorry.
Any other nominations? Any other nomination? Any other nomination? We will close on Ms. Carol King for vice chair, all right?
If she accepts.
Yes. All those in favor of Ms. Carol King for vice chair, let it be known by raising your hand. All those in favor of Ms. Carol King for vice chair, let it be known by raising your hand. Need to raise it real high.
You
Okay,
know you mean it.
yes.
Because if you're not careful, they might nominate one of you to be chair or vice chair, just to throw you under the bus completely.
Right. Paul, did you get the count?
Yes.
You did? All right, thank you. Ms. Carol King is our now new vice chair. Thank you very much and
Thank you.
congratulations. Yes. Now, we have our election for chair. The House will entertain nomination for chair.
I'd
Yes,
like to nominate Dr. Bailey. chair.
okay. All right. Any other nomination? Richard Bailey's been nominated. Any other nomination? All right. All those in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. Okay. We appreciate that very much. Awards postmortem. Anyone would like to make any comments regarding our award program that we had here last month?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
did you determine whether or not this was televised or
Yes.
admitted or what?
I didn't look.
Commissioner McCants is asking the question whether our program last month was televised.
It's on YouTube.
It's
It
on
should be.
YouTube
He
because
said he
I
couldn't
tried to
find
watch
it.
on TV. I tried to watch ARB on TV and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, he said he couldn't find it.
I couldn't find it online. I mean, you know, on the website, normally where I watch it because I don't have the TV package that you would normally watch it.
It should be
on
available
Charter.
as a YouTube video. I don't know that it was live.
Has anybody seen it on YouTube?
I didn't know it was on YouTube. I didn't look there.
There should be links to those videos from the city website, from the HPC page. There's a link that says HPC meeting videos, I think, something like
I
that.
didn't see that.
I'll send it out.
I looked very hard for it.
All right. Chris, have you seen it on YouTube?
I have not.
You have?
I've been busy.
Has anyone seen it on
Long time
YouTube?
ago.
No one's seen it on YouTube?
So is it not on the public access anymore at all?
I could not find Capital City Connection
Oh,
on
period.
Charter
Oh.
on TV. I couldn't find the
Oh,
channel.
the whole station?
Yes, I could not find the channel.
Well, I saw the April meeting, and I think others, but I was, you know, I was the closest to the May 9th, May 9th, right? I was closest to the May 9th meeting, so that's what I was looking for.
Is that something Griffith would know?
Would know if it's
Yeah.
on, well, we can look and see if it's on the website.
Well, if there's not a Channel 96 anymore.
That I don't know. I put Randy on the spot back there to ask if he knew anything about it, but he doesn't. So
Yeah.
we'll have to do some more digging to find out what the deal is. I couldn't find it. That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll have something else on that when we come to our next meeting to see what might have happened with that broadcast. Any other comments regarding our awards program for last month? What is it we should do more of? What is it we should do less of? Were you satisfied with the attendance? Were you satisfied with the caliber of presentations? What are your feelings?
I wasn't here, so I can't give and I didn't see it.
It's up to us.
So I can't give an opinion of that, you know, because I didn't have an opportunity to view it.
Surely, surely.
I think the recipients were very appreciative. And I think we had a wide variety of nominations. And for our first year and the first attempt, you know, I think we kind of covered the gamut.
Surely.
Because we had commercial, residential, people, groups.
And military.
Right, that was a big one, yeah. So I think we really did a good broad spectrum. You know, it would be nice, next year I think there'll be more interest and we'll get the word out and it would be more competitive and reach a lot more people. I think that was a fairly good attendance.
They were very hungry. They ate a lot
Audience,
of
yes,
food.
yes. The reception was very lovely and they went through this, went through that quite quickly. But I mean, I think it added a whole lot too. I mean, it was definitely a festive thing. So we got a fair amount of pre-publicity, I think, from assorted places. They got official invitations. It went out through the neighborhood coalitions.
The city did send out a press release about it because we did get two TV stations here to record. So
we had TV stations, and it
Yeah.
was covered.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually appeared on the news. I think it actually made the 6 o'clock. They were here before and did so. I think.
Right.
I mean, there's always more, definitely more, but.
And I've certainly, when people have called about some of the projects they're working on, tell them, please take pictures kind of as you're working on it because this would be a good project to nominate next year. So I'm trying to prime the pump where I've got the opportunity where someone's doing something that I think is really worth calling attention to. So.
Let me ask this bottom line question. Should we do it again?
Definitely, Mr. Chairman. Also, is there any objection to whenever we have a major designation of a neighborhood, such as we had here, even though there were several houses, that we have our meetings concerning that in those districts?
You have what in the districts?
Whenever we have a major designation of several houses in the neighborhood, maybe we would be a good idea to have the
Have it in the neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
We tried that once years ago.
Oh, I remember.
It was okay.
I'm gonna try it.
We could try it. I mean, we can always take the show on the road, certainly. I mean, if there's a good reason. I think years ago we talked about if a neighborhood is having, we did it because Capitol Heights was doing their 100th anniversary. You know, if there's something that a neighborhood is doing that they want to call attention to that could be spotlighted, then absolutely.
And bring the councilman in there as well, and sort of make it a big event.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
Sure, sure. So are we saying that consensus that we will do it again?
Well, y'all made a motion that
Yes, we
you were
did.
going to work with landmarks
Yes.
Yeah,
next year.
I made that motion actually.
So that'll get you some more help and a wider audience too.
Is there going to be funds put in next year's budget?
I've asked for funds. We haven't gotten our budget yet though. But we did. We ended up under the 150 mark, and part of that was because I had to buy plates and napkins and cups. But we were able to do it with what wasn't going to raise eyebrows to do the reception. Partnering with landmarks might give us a little more flexibility too, because no one's going to question if they buy some food, type thing. For an
Come out with
event.
sponsors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. I would like to thank all of our commissioners who helped to make that program last month an outstanding success. Each and every one of you did something to ensure that everything went smoothly, and everything went smoothly. So I applaud what each member in this organization did in helping out last month. Thank you so much. If you look at your bylaws on page 2, regarding attendance number 6, any member failing to attend 50% or more of the regularly scheduled meetings may be requested to resign by the chairman of the commission upon a majority vote of the members. We have one of our members who has not attended
This
meetings
year.
regularly.
We have not seen him this year.
Yes. And I want to know what is the pleasure of this body. Should we ask the chairperson to, should this person be requested to resign by the chairperson?
Mr. Chairman, we talked about this, I think at least three meetings
Yes.
where we've had failure to appear by one of the commissioners. And I mean, how we can't just operate on just the person's name. No one knows who they are. You never see them. That shows, that indicates very little interest, if any at all. And I certainly recommend that you use your power to ask that person for his resignation, whatever course we can follow.
In conjunction with that, I would say that we would draft a letter to the council person saying that that action had been taken by the board and ask that a replacement be found.
Agreed.
Which district is that?
2, Brantley Lyons.
We don't need to name that individual, do we?
What, just District 2?
That's good enough.
So someone else.
So is there anyone opposed to
Exercising
exercising that prerogative as outlined in item number 6 regarding attendance in our bylaws? When a person has not attended at least 50% of the meetings and has not given any kind of explanation.
or communicated with us
Yeah.
in any fashion.
Yes. Is anyone in
So
the...
let this be a lesson to you new people. This is how you can get off the board.
Is there anyone in opposition to that? Anyone in opposition to
Has
that?
there been a vote, or are you voting, or what?
Yes,
I don't
we're
understand.
about to vote. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Go ahead.
Yes. The chair will now entertain a motion.
I'll introduce the motion, Mr. Chairman, that we pursue the process of removing the individual of District 2 from the commission by way of a letter to the district councilman who nominated, who actually appointed the person.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that we draft a letter asking the council person for District 2 to request the resignation of the person who that council person appointed to represent that district for the Historic Preservation Commission. All those in favor, let it be known.
Point of information.
Surely.
It says upon majority vote of the members. How are you interpreting? Are you talking about all the members that are on the board, or so how many members are on the board now?
We're talking about a majority, as it says here.
It is a majority of the positions. So there are 9 HPC members, so a majority has to be 5 for a motion to carry for this body. Whether there are 5 of you here or 9 of you here, it takes 5.
All right, thank you.
It's not a majority of those present.
To answer your question? Yes. Okay, all right. All those in favor, let it be known by a show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all right. Thank you, motion carried.
Is Mr. Long opposed, or you?
Or abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right, the next item I would like to mention is something new. I would like for this body to consider tonight recognizing each year our most outstanding commissioner. And what we will do each year in December, we will select the most outstanding member for that year. And we will ask the council person for that person's district to give that member, that commissioner, a plaque at the council meeting in January. So what am I saying? I'm asking if this body considered it commendable, appropriate, that we recognize each year in December an outstanding commissioner and ask the council person for that person's district to give that commissioner a plaque in January for outstanding service to the Historic Preservation Commission. Comments?
Why not?
Okay. Anyone else? Any question about it first? What we're doing, we're recognizing outstanding members of the commissioner, and we're asking the council person for that person's district to give that person a plaque at the council meeting in January after we've notified that person's council person that we've elected that person as the outstanding member of this commission because of what that person has contributed to the Historic Preservation Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion.
I move that we establish a recognition for an outstanding HPC committee person.
Right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any unreadiness? Yes.
I'm hesitant to speak tonight because I'm brand new, but I wouldn't mind tabling this and putting together some criteria
Sure.
for that award. Just maybe some little summary of what would be exceptional, and just maybe a little few words.
Sure.
Sure.
We could get that together. So I'd move to table this motion to consider at the next meeting, and perhaps we could get some criteria worded up and establish something a little more formal.
Something to quantify.
I'm glad you spoke up. Second your motion.
But we're down here new, and I'm just trying to be quiet. But
No problem.
I won't
Sir,
be new at the
it
next
doesn't matter.
meeting.
Sir, please don't be quiet.
Okay, I won't be new at the next meeting.
One thing that we want new members to know, this is not an adversarial body. We don't attack people. When you have a question, raise it, you see. And that's the chairman's job, to make certain everybody is treated courteously, if you know what I'm saying. And to expound on any issue so that it's clarified. But no one is going to attack anybody in this body, not while I'm chairperson. So if you have a question, you don't feel clear on something, whatever, just let us know.
Thank you.
Surely, that's the way we proceed.
Also, Mr. Chairman, this commission is not just for being seen, it's also particularly it's for being heard.
Sure.
So, being new, make noise.
That's right. Always feel free to speak in here. We want you to speak. We encourage you to speak. So, with that said, would the person who made the motion and the person who seconded the motion object to coming back in August and we quantify some kind of criteria for selecting the outstanding person in the Historic Preservation Commission? Does anybody objects to that? No.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
And I was thinking we might even, it might be something that we also, recommend the ARB might like to do too.
Surely. In fact, I firmly believe that some other bodies, boards, will begin to recognize outstanding members within their groups. So maybe this is something that might just catch on. But I think that it would be good if we recognize outstanding persons within the Historic Preservation Commission, persons who have gone beyond the call of duty to advance the mission of this body. That's what we're talking about. So with that being said, we will come back in August with some criteria for selecting that person. Anything else on anybody's mind? Krista, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. With that being said, again, welcome to our two members, and we hope that you'll enjoy working in the name of historic preservation. Any question that you have, any item you see that should be recognized as restoration of the month, as you drive around the city, bring it to us and let us see what we can do with it. With that being said, this meeting is hereby adjourned.